The first punch never landed, but the fear hit harder than any fist ever could. The powerful CEO, a man whose name ruled boardrooms and stock markets, stood trembling in a dark parking garage, blood already staining his expensive suit, his voice breaking as he begged not to be hurt again. His knees buckled, his pride shattered, and in that humiliating moment, no one saw a billionaire, only a broken man cornered by a stranger, with eyes full of something far more dangerous than anger. That was the moment everything began to change. And before this story unfolds any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that people are more than their worst mistakes, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from today. Ethan Cole was not a man who looked frightening at first glance. He was a single father in his late 30s, shoulders worn down by years of labor, eyes permanently shadowed by exhaustion and quiet grief. His clothes were plain, his shoes scuffed, his hands rough from honest work that barely paid enough to keep the lights on. Every morning before dawn he packed his daughter Lily's lunch with careful precision, folding napkins just the way her late mother used to. Every night, after Lily fell asleep clutching her stuffed rabbit, Ethan sat alone in the kitchen, staring at bills he couldn't pay, and memories he couldn't escape. 3 years earlier, his wife Sarah had died after a long battle with illness, an illness made worse by delays, insurance denials, and corporate decisions that felt distant and cold at the time. Ethan never forgot the name on the paperwork that kept appearing during those final months: Marcus Hale, CEO of Hale Care Industries. Magazine covers praised his vision, news anchors spoke of his leadership, and investors called him a genius. He lived in a glass-walled penthouse overlooking the city, surrounded by luxury that insulated him from the consequences of his choices. Under his leadership, Hale Care had grown rapidly, cutting costs, streamlining processes, and maximizing profits. Those words sounded impressive at conferences, but on the ground they meant denied treatments, delayed approvals, and families quietly falling apart. Marcus rarely saw those families. To him the numbers made sense. The spreadsheets told a clean story. He believed success justified everything. Ethan's story unraveled slowly after Sarah's diagnosis. Each rejection letter felt like a verdict, each phone call ending with polite apologies that meant nothing. He worked overtime, sold his car, borrowed money he couldn't repay, all while watching the woman he loved grow weaker. On the night Sarah died, Lily was asleep in the hospital chair, unaware that her world was about to collapse. Ethan held Sarah's hand as it went cold, a silence filling the room that no scream could break. Something inside him hardened that night, not into hatred at first, but into a deep, aching sense of injustice. Life after loss was unforgiving. Ethan became both mother and father, grief counselor and provider. Lily often asked why her mother never came back, and Ethan learned how to smile through pain, how to lie gently to protect a child's heart. But anger doesn't disappear just because life demands responsibility. It waits, it grows, and one evening, after another exhausting shift and another notice-threatening eviction, Ethan saw Marcus Hale on television, smiling as he announced record profits. That was the moment the waiting ended. The parking garage encounter was not part of some grand plan. It was fate, coincidence, or perhaps something darker. Marcus had stayed late at the office, avoiding the emptiness of his penthouse. A recent divorce had left him isolated, though few people knew it. As he walked toward his car, a sudden shove sent him crashing into concrete. Pain exploded through his ribs, and fear took hold faster than reason. When he looked up, he saw Ethan standing there, face tight, hands clenched, eyes burning with years of buried pain. Marcus didn't recognize him, but his instincts screamed danger. Ethan didn't strike him. He just stood there, breathing heavily, watching the powerful man crumble into someone small and afraid. In that silence, years of suffering pressed against his chest. He thought of Lily sleeping in a tiny bedroom, of Sarah gasping for breath, of letters stamped denied. He thought of how easy it would be to let anger decide the outcome. But then something unexpected happened. Marcus looked at him not with arrogance, but with genuine terror. The illusion of power was gone. In that moment, Ethan spoke, not with violence, but with truth. He revealed who he was, not as a threat, but as a mirror. A widower, a father, a man whose life had been reshaped by decisions made in distant offices. His words cut deeper than any blow could have. Marcus listened, forced to confront a reality he had never allowed himself to see. The garage felt smaller, heavier, as the weight of responsibility settled in. What followed was not instant redemption. Change rarely comes easily. Marcus didn't suddenly become a hero, and Ethan didn't walk away healed. But something cracked open that night. Marcus began investigating cases his company had dismissed. He read letters he had never bothered to open. He sat in meetings and asked uncomfortable questions. The board resisted, profits dipped, and the media whispered. Yet, for the first time, Marcus felt the cost of his success in human terms. Ethan returned home that night shaken, unsure if he had done the right thing. Lily was awake, waiting for him, her small arms wrapping around his neck. In that embrace, he felt something loosen inside him. He hadn't chosen violence. He had chosen to be seen. Weeks later, a letter arrived. Not another denial, but an apology. Hail Care announced a new patient advocacy program, policy reversals, and direct support for families previously affected. Among them was a fund established in Sarah's name, covering Lily's education and supporting other children who had lost parents due to delayed care. Marcus never publicly spoke about the garage, but privately he carried that night with him everywhere. He stepped down as CEO a year later, not in disgrace, but in transformation, choosing to lead a foundation focused on ethical healthcare reform. He continued working, continued parenting, continued healing. But sometimes when he watched Lily laugh freely, he knew that standing in that garage, choosing restraint over rage, had changed more than just two lives. Just before this story comes to an end, we want to ask you something special. Take a moment right now and comment what this story made you feel, or share a moment when kindness changed your life, because your words might inspire someone else who needs hope today. In the end, this wasn't a story about revenge or power. It was about humanity colliding in the most unexpected place. It was about a single father who carried his pain without letting it turn him into something he wasn't, and a CEO who learned too late, but not too late to change. And if this story touched your heart, if it made you pause, reflect, or feel something deep inside, please like the video, share it with someone who believes people can change, and stay connected with us. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who may be quietly hurting, just like Ethan once was.